Former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger just revealed and kind of threw shade at his former coaches for having big egos when it comes to offensive play calling. So, Ben Roethlisberger, on his podcast, Footbahlin with Ben, he had Alex Highsmith on, and he was kind of recapping the Steelers season, but he was also recapping the Super Bowl and giving his input. And he was kind of praising Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy for how good they are at coaches. And while he was doing that, I found something very interesting. He kind of was throwing shade at his former coaches for not allowing player input into the offense. Here's that full quote. "I have to just congratulate Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. They're just so stinking good. They're different level coaches. They're up here and they're going to be up there as long as Andy Reid's there and Patrick Mahomes are there. To me, Andy Reid should go down as one of the best of all time. I heard he lets his players design plays. To truly have an open door and listen to guys and not just say, oh yeah, I'll think about it, is huge." So, that last part is where the shade was thrown. Because when we look at Ben Roethlisberger's career, where he was most famous for is his backyard style football, this fast-paced style football, the no-huddle offense, where he was designing his own plays, where he was kind of making things up on the fly. And that's where the Steelers' season and offense started picking up, especially the last 2 years. Whenever he started going no-huddle, whenever he started designing his own plays, is when the offense started clicking. Before that, it wouldn't click. And that's where he's most famous for, as a future Hall of Fame quarterback. So him saying that his input wasn't taken for the offensive side of the ball is huge, and he kind of throwing shade at the coaches. Now when we look at who he's throwing shade at, look at Matt Canada. Matt Canada was only there for 2 seasons, so it wasn't really him because he wasn't there for that long. And we look at Randy Fichtner. Randy Fichtner was hired because of Ben Roethlisberger having such a close connection. They're great friends, so it's probably not him either. And then when we look at Bruce Arians, his former offensive coordinator, they're still really close. Bruce Arians was one who texted to Ben Roethlisberger when Pat Freiermuth got drafted, saying that he's going to love him because he resembles Heath Miller. So they're close. It's probably not him. The only 2 people I could think that he's talking about when he's throwing that little shade, saying they wouldn't take input on offense, and Andy Reid does, is Todd Haley or Mike Tomlin. When we look at Todd Haley, him and Ben Roethlisberger always clashed heads, and Todd Haley was most likely fired because Ben Roethlisberger didn't like him. But when we look at Mike Tomlin, the reason it could be Mike Tomlin is, obviously Mike Tomlin has been there for basically Ben Roethlisberger's whole career outside of a few seasons. So those 2 are more likely than not the people who he's talking about. And when we look at if it's deserved, is it deserved? Well, the Steelers had Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown, and the Killer Bees, and even Martavis Bryant. They had so many good players in the offense, yet in the last 12 seasons under Mike Tomlin, they have produced a 3-7 record in the playoffs and fell short many seasons. You would think with that much talent on offense, they would at least put up 1 Super Bowl, but they didn't. And that might be the reason why Ben Roethlisberger holds that little grudge and is throwing shade on them for not receiving player input. Maybe he thinks because they had so many great players that the coaches should have listened to the players more often than not, and maybe that would have resulted in better production and better play on the field. So, let me know down in the comments below. How do you feel about Ben Roethlisberger throwing that little shade? And did you realize it when you watched the podcast? Did you realize that little quote that he said, how Andy Reid takes into consideration the plays and the design of it by the players? Or did you miss that? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like serious content, analysis reports. Like the video. Turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post the next series video. Click the bell down below, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.